in that old world. Know where you come from. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm not some hero girl. You call some pearl. I'm not some hero girl. If you twirl. I'm not some girl you give some moves. Then you do well. I was confused. I'm never in the mood for what you would do. Not some hero girl, and you're confused. Not some kind of girl, only your kind dude. I'm not some hero girl. You must be confused. You think you can take it for a twirl. You think you can give me some love. You must be confused. I'm not the kind of girl who drowns all alone. I'm not some hero girl who takes all your dudes. I'm not some hero girl that knows around what you do. Not some hero girl who draws around colored dudes. Must be confused. The ride starts now. I'm a little too loud. The ride starts now. You better calm down. The ride starts now. It's gonna be loud. If you thought you'd do that, you're living on rock and roll. I'm not some kind of girl who's gonna be confused. Know exactly what you want to. I'm the kind of girl gonna stand for your view. You're gonna find out what your feet's gonna do. You're gonna find out you're the one who's gonna get Gonna find out you're the one who's gonna get spiked with loot. You're gonna find out just what's gonna be the truth. And if you won't find out, you wake up cold blue. Oh, that's all because of what you're trying to do. Yeah. Gonna wake up cold blue. Gonna wake up totally abused. That's what counseling can do. I'll tell your frat boys the truth. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. You're gonna wake up cold blue.
This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and this is episode 54. The Riot starts now. We're discussing the song I'm That Girl, You're Code Blue. This song is an example of our live recording of a track and not using overdubs. We basically utilized our hardware workflow to create this punk, techno, expansive sound rocker. It has a lot to do with my love of punk music. I talked about how I like Bob Mould and Grant Hart's Who's to Do, Westerberg's Replacements, the Sex Pistols, any kind of punk music, even in modern days like Green Day. But so I like to use my synthesizers to prove that they can be very aggressive in a Trent Reznor way. And because, I'm a frustrated guitar player, I try to figure out how to get the synths to have that kind of guitar attack. And it's a way of playing the synths that's not the same as playing a piano. You have to adjust your playing style to kind of match what a guitar player would do in terms of bending notes and modulation and chord patterns and just the playing. It's not the same as playing a piano part or an organ part. And it's something over the last 5 years I've gotten better at. And, the biggest compliment I've had is some people, ask who the guitarist is on a Phantom Electric Ghost song. And that shows I actually succeeded in what I'm trying to do. So this song is Josephine in the lead doing a Riot Grrl interpretation, like a Sleater Kinney kind of idea. So having her be the very, new wave kind of punk attitude. And this song is kind of taking some things from the current news about what's going on in our justice system and what's going on with privileged MFs that think they can just, drug and abuse women. And so Josephine basically going through the song and saying, are you not going to drug me with lewds and have your way with me? I'm going to turn it around and you're going to be the one that's code blue. So it's kind of flipping it around. And typically Josephine's been doing this in a lot of songs that had her go after the lead or men who are pretty much predators, and she becomes the character that challenges those men and goes after them and makes them pay. Because remember, she's a ghost and she's ethereal. She can become material, and she basically uses those techniques to get revenge on those folks or those men who abuse women or abuse Josephine. And this song is a way of her expressing that Riot Grrl attitude of like, you're not going to do that. I'm going to actually do you, and you're not going to make it. So it's a very aggressive song. It was initially started with less aggressive synthesis using my Euro rack to make noise. Morphogene has a backward tape loop of a Phantom Electric Ghost song running in behind the scenes. The Furia Mini Brute 2S has a sequence that's running through the pitch and the gate and actually, creating some variability. And then there's a bass line coming from the Moog DFAM. In the Mother 32, I have some modulation going on. And it's all kind of in the bass of the song. On top of that, I have some sequencing on a JDXI routed through a BeatSet Pro, where there's some System 1M sequencing going on, and JDXI sequencing going on. Then there's the vocal that's happening. Now, the levels for all of this is being controlled by, I have a Pittsburgh modular mixer on the Euro rack that's controlling the level of the make noise. Morphogene is controlling the level of the DFAM and the Mother 32 before it even hits my MX1 performance mixer, which then I can further edit the volume. And so all these things are going on to track 1 and 2 on a Zoom R24, but the levels are being controlled by a Pittsburgh modular mixer, 2x4 mixer, and then the system MX1 performance mixer, which has got some of the instruments on multiple channels. So the guitar is on a Juno GI, it's on a channel that's being controlled at a level. The JDXI drum beats powered by the Arturia are on a level being controlled. The System 1M is being controlled, and the Euro rack is also being controlled on a separate level. That allows me to record live onto 2 tracks because all the levels are being controlled by the mixers before they even hit the Zoom. And in the Zoom, there's a mastering going on the Zoom. So this is the complexity of my hardware workflow where I'm able to bring in all of these types of sounds and control them. And I think it's been something that I've just been perfecting, and I like to do live performances on Facebook to prove that, song creation, like I think Robert Moog always said, he expected artists to use his Moog live. And I like to do that. And so I think the live creation of tracks goes back to, things that were done in the 60s and 70s. A lot of bands wrote albums with the whole band playing live. And then did overdubs. And, I do my share of overdubs and song creation in a kind of in a modern DAW way, but using my Zoom by tracking things separately and then putting them together. But there's something about doing a band type of performance. And as a one-person band, there's some things I have to do to do some pre-work to set up what I think is going to work. So I'll actually rehearse the track and play with all the sequencing and the layers of things that are going on. There's a lot of modulation with analog gear. You can do different types of modulation and play the filter to get the variability off the DFAM and the Moog and the Arturia. So by playing the filters and adjusting the knob per function capabilities of these synths, you can create variability that sounds like live players. So that's a lot of what I do to get the live feel for my analog and digital systems. The Josephine electric voice is running through a VTO3 vocal transformer from Roland, which is now my preferred method. I used to use the JDXI. The only problem with the JDXI is I was using it for the drums and the vocal and a lot of other tracks. And I found it difficult to control the levels of all the 4 parts. I found that there's a control for the volume for one of the digital parts, but I've had trouble controlling the volume for the vocoder and the drums. They seem to be on the same channel, and it's difficult to separate them. Since I can do the VTO3 on a separate channel, it allows me to make the levels of the vocal separate. It's not a problem if you record, in sequentially, and do the drums and then do the vocal. But when you're trying to do the vocal and the drums at the same time, then the drums tend to get a little too loud at the same volume level as the vocal, which maybe there's a fix for that. Somebody can tell me. I wasn't never able to find that. So this song is out there on SoundCloud. I made a video for it. It's on Instagram. It'll be up on YouTube. It'll be published to all the streaming services shortly. The other thing I'm working on is I recorded a initial review of the new or an announcement or my impressions of the Moog One. So I'm actually going to go through that again here. There is a big announcement in synthesis. I think it's one of the biggest announcements in the last 30 years. Is Moog, which we've suspected for many years, has decided to get back in the polyphonic analog synth game. And for those who don't know, I mean, back in the day, there was a polyphonic Moog that was called the Polymoog. It was more like an organ than a synth, but it actually had the ladder filter and envelope control. So you had like an ADSR envelope, similar to the mini Moog Model D. It had a filter, and it had the ability to shape some presets that it had. And then it was polyphonic. And it was more like an organ than a modern synth. So it had a really deep polyphony, similar to like a Hammond organ. So I think it was called divide down concept, which is what is used in like Hammond organs and other organs. So it has less to do with a synth, because a synth kind of limits your polyphony, but the organs don't. So it was like full polyphony. So that was their first effort in the mid 70s and 75. The first version was very awesome. The second version got rid of some of the control over the synth, and that was kind of disappointing, but it was used in the song Cars to create effect, and it still sounds great. It's a great synth. Their last effort was the memory mode, which was fraught with a lot of production issues and quality issues and reliability issues. But when it worked, it is an amazing polyphonic synth. And a lot of people have wanted Moog to get back in the game, and they were kind of, knocked out by Prophets and Roland's Jupiter series and the Juno 106 and the DX and the Yamaha Dream Machines kind of didn't make a good reason for Moog to continue in that path, because they weren't as successful at polyphonic synth as they are at monophonic. So slide to today, where now the Moog One brings back the concepts of the memory Moog, and it looks kind of like a Voyager. Looks like they took the Voyager form, and it is a 61 key Fatara key bed. I think it's aftertouch and velocity sensitive. It is like an oak cabinet with aluminum metal. It doesn't look like it has that much plastic on it at all. It does have CD capability. It does have MIDI. It has a 3 oscillator VCO analog polyphonic set. And I think that can't be understated, because a lot of the Prophet makes the Prophet 6, and that is an analog set. But this machine is a little more sophisticated than the 6, in that this thing has 3 timbral synth, which means it's 3 synths in one. It can do 3 levels of synthesis. And it has 4 LFOs. And in the 16-voice version, you can have in unison 48 oscillators all firing at the same time. And each synth layer in the multi-timbral system can have its own sequencing. And by that effect, it can also have its own LFO routing and its own modulation routing. And it looks like they've taken a book from Prophet in the 12 and the Rev 2, and the Prophet actually has a lot of modulation options for these LFOs. So they're routable. It has an LED screen, which I don't know if it's touch sensitive or not. It has knob per function, massive amount of buttons, over 70. Actual dials, and I think over 100 actual buttons. And so this is a knob per function set that I don't think can be understated. These are Moog oscillators, analog oscillators. They're only square and triangle, but then there's variable pulse. And so I have a question. It's like, okay, where is the actual other waveforms, like a sine wave or a sawtooth? I'm guessing that the variable pulse width can generate whatever wave you want, and that's how they solve that. I'm not too clear on that. If you can get a sine wave out of this machine through that method, or you can get other type of waveforms. I'm assuming you can, but I'm not sure. I was wondering why they built it that way, but it could be have something to do with the development of the subharmonicon, and then just maybe way more wavetable based synthesis on an analog machine. But it's very interesting. That also this machine is the first time I've seen Moog actually have two filters. There's a ladder filter and then there's a multi-mode filter, which is similar to what we see on Arcurias. And so you have both of them, and both of them can be routed together or separately in different orders. There's USB, MIDI, and traditional MIDI. Doesn't look like it's Bluetooth MIDI. Now, the big downer on this thing is the price. The 8-voice versions like 6,000, 16-voice versions 8,000. You can get it on a payment plan like a card and spend $300 a month for like 24 months. If you're really a synth freak or a professional musician, I think this synth has a lot to offer. I think it has a capability based on working with modes. I have a DFAM. I have one of the 32. I've played many modes. There's something about modes that are worth adding to your arsenal of music creation. There's something about the way they respond to sound development that a lot of people can attest to the history. From Trent Reznor to Bernie Worrell, from P-Funk to any of the new wave artists that use these and the rappers that use them. If you go back in the day on the Chronic and the use of the Model V, you can't really, understand how a Moog works until you actually get a real Moog. And once you have one, you're going to be totally in love with the way it creates sound. And to have a Moog that can create 3 oscillator polyphony and then have it be able to do it on as like multiple synths firing at once with their own sequences, and then be able to save the patches and save the performance information, which I don't know the level of performance information you can save, but it suggested you can save a lot. And I think that this machine could usher a new age of song creation using chords. As a songwriter and a keyboardist, monophonic synths are great, and you can build whatever you want one step at a time. But having a polyphonic analog synth of this quality, and I think the only synths that are similar in quality would be like a Waldorf, or if you get to the Prophet 12. But the Prophet 12 are DCOs, and if you get to a Korg, if you get one of their new synths, like the new analog synth from the Prologue 16-voice, is a very good machine. It has a lot of capability, but I don't think it can match this. It has a lot of capability, but I think the sound that Moog gets from its oscillators, I can attest to the way the oscillators work on synths from Moog, and they just have a fatness and a power that's hard to find. Even Prophet synths have a different flavor. Arturia synths have a different flavor. Rolands have a different flavor. To be able to have Moog back in the arena where we can play 2-fisted chords and 3 layers of 2-fisted chords with 3 VCOs. These are not digital oscillators, and I think that can't be stated more often, that if you look at like a Prophet 6, there's a reason why people get the Prophet 6 instead of a Rev 2 when they're looking for a certain sound. And this is going to be the same kind of reason that people are going to want this machine. I think it's going to be a monster. If the reliability is where it is on all the recent Moog products, this will be a game changer for all electronic musicians, all rock musicians and hip hop artists. I would hope that there are bands that could bring back a little bit of what Genesis, like the Peter Gabriel Genesis used to do, or Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or old Styx and Journey. People could really build great music with this. I think Trent Reznor could do amazing things with this machine. He does a lot with the Model V. To be able to use a full polyphonic analog synth from Moog is a total revelation. And I'm going to do everything I can to try to get this machine. I would love Moog to provide one so I could review it on my podcast. But an $8,000 machine, I'm not sure if they're going to be sending a lot of these out. They'll be sending it to the top tier reviewers on the net, like Sonic State and Lollipop and Anderton's. I would think they're going to do the reviews. But it would be cool if Moog would look into what we're doing as the Ghost, and the whole idea of the Ghost is to use analog and digital synths instead of using digital audio workstations to create really raw experimental synth music. And I would hope Moog eventually would find the Phantom Electric Ghost on the radar. We'd love to go to Moog Fest. We're going to do that. We're going to self-fund it. But if we could, somehow get a relationship with Moog, because we're very much into what they've been doing. We're total devotees of the Moog culture in the Moog camp. We've introduced a lot of cool sounds in the last year with our DFAM and Mother 32 compositions. We're very excited up to this point where next purchase is going to be the Grandmother. Most likely it will still be the Grandmother because it's at a great price point. We're also very interested in the Subharmonicon going into production. So Moog, if you can put that in production, we're down with those two. But getting this machine to review and write some music on would be a dream. And so we're putting it out there. I know there's a lot of other indie artists who would love to see if Moog would do that for them. But, an $8,000 machine is hard to go send to somebody and then have it sent back. It's probably not something that happens. But you can put a dream out there, and the dream would be to get this machine. Otherwise, we're going to Uber like hell. We're going to Lyft like hell and work as much as we can to get this on the radar in the next 2 years as something that we have a goal. Because our end goal as the Ghost is to build a studio in New Hampshire using hardware like we've talked about and really good recording equipment like the Neve recording boards and, actually getting, analog tape reel-to-reel machines for the final mastering. That is our overall goal, is to build a studio in New Hampshire, have people get out of toxic environments and come to a nice environment in New Hampshire and record songs in a way that you don't have to, be self-destructive. You're in a positive environment. You can hike, you can fish, you can mountain bike, you can swim, you can jet ski, you could whatever. It would have a better environment rather than the old coked out days of being in dark rooms and just being very self-destructive. The idea of trying to open things up in a more healthy manner. So that's our big pitch for today. Again, we are fan supported. If you like what we're doing, please look at the subscription levels. We have said before that if we get subscribers at the $4.99 and $9.99 level on our channel, we will send you a hard copy of either one of the three CDs that we put out early in our career. The first Phantom Electric Ghost album was Something Wicked, still available on Amazon. Indigo Menace, still available on Amazon. And Synesthesia, Sweet Neo Soul Surrender. You will get one of those records if you subscribe at those levels for a year. This money will help support efforts, like I said, to be able to review instruments like the Moog One, the OPZ, which we're actually going to get. We have on order from Sweetwater. So we'll be getting an OPZ early November, and we're going to do a full product review on that on a video and podcast version on Anchor. And so if you are very interested in doing this, check out the Anchor link to be able to support us. Also, favorite Phantom Electric Ghost on Anchor and send us a message if you're interested in being a co-host or working with us as a collaborator. And we also collaborate with indie artists all around the world. And if you're interested in the sound that we have and want to bring it into your mix or do a collaboration, also contact us by voice memo. You just have to favorite the Ghost and send us a voice memo and we can get in touch with you. Thank you very much.